What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How y'all doing tonight? It's been a minute. It's been a long minute, but welcome. Welcome to Hawks Hoops Live. It happens every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we just kind of sort of have a live show. You feel me? Live show talking about any and everything basketball related. We talk about games. We talk about news. We talk about random scenarios, Q&As with y'all in the chat. Whatever it is y'all want to talk about, you know how we do. We be talking about it over here. Rage, what's good with you? What's up? How you doing? That reminds me, let me do one thing real quick. We pop out this chat so I can put chat comments on the stream. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Merry belated Christmas to everybody. You feel me? Merry belated Christmas. Hopefully y'all had a good Christmas. Y'all know me. I got to get the stream together as we live because you know I never have things together when I should. That's all right though. That's all right though. All right, let's try this again. Range, what's up? Carwick, what's up? Christmas wish came true. You feel me? You feel me? The Christmas, you know what I mean? This Christmas is here. Christmas is finally here. It's a couple of days late, but Christmas is here with a Hawks Hoop stream. You feel me? All right. We got a lot to talk about, especially these Christmas Day games. We gotta talk about Luka. We gotta talk about Luka to start. Let me get the TikTok live started real quick, and then we're gonna get into this because it just was so much good stuff to talk about. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. This is your Christmas joke. Rage, what's good with you, my boy? Talking about some well. All right. Join the YouTube stream. All right, we live on TikTok, bro. Find it. Listen. Yes, bro. Finally went live. We got a lot. I was in a funk. You feel me? Sometimes you just be in a creative funk. You know, you don't feel like doing nothing. You don't feel like talking about stuff. I tried to do some other things and make, videos instead of TikToks and lives, but I'm not feeling it as much. So we're going to stick with the TikTok / shorts and the reels. And we're going to do the live every Wednesday because I don't know. It seems more fun for me. That's more conversational. It's more fun. It's more just. Why is there a burner? Why is there a Hawks Hoops burner in the chat? Nah, but Sixers is all right. We gotta talk about Luka first, though. We gotta talk about Luka first. I gotta give him his flowers because he had absolutely. Why did I go live today? Range, I do remember your shorts. Hey, you gotta get back into it, bro. A burnout does happen, but I got back into the shorts this past week, and I enjoy the process. I do. I will say I enjoy the process of making content and putting my opinion out there and seeing if people agree. Sometimes people agree, sometimes people don't. Rage says Luka will surpass Larry Bird all time. We're going to talk about the Sixers in a second, but before we talk about the Sixers, I got to give some shout out to Luka Doncic, right? So last night, if you missed this game, I feel bad for you. If you missed this game, I feel bad for you. You missed the generational game. Luka drops 60 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. They cut in an overtime win against the Knicks where they're down 9 with 30 seconds left to play. I don't think I've ever seen, I know. I've never seen a player have a game like that. And honestly, the 60 points is wild impressive, for sure. The 60 points is impressive. 60 is 60. But yeah, like I said, 60 is 60. But it's almost like we all know Luka is Luka, and he was going to have some 60-point games in his career. It was just inevitable. Like, he's going to have more 60-point games in his career. But 20 rebounds is insane to me. That's the craziest part to me. That's just because to me, when it comes to rebounding and when a guard gets crazy, I don't know, Luka's a huge guard. He's not a regular guard. But when a guard gets rebounding numbers like that, that's just effort. That's just like an effort level. That's one of those, my team is winning this game. Like, 20 boards is my team is winning this game. I'm doing everything I have to do to win this game. And also, not the craziest part, but the crazy part about it was I remember in like maybe around the third, he had only like 30 something. And he just got so many more points in the fourth and overtime. The tied free throw, that's just an effort play. He hit it off the back, iron. It bobbles in some Knick player hands. It bobbles in some, well, no, they sub in JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee like tips it, and that's what makes it bobble into some Knicks player's hands. It ends up in Luka's hands. He catches it in midair and then still lays it up while he's still in the air with some weird. It just Luka magic is a real thing. I just want to point that out. Luka magic is a real thing. And I was one of the guys who a couple of years ago, I'll say like last year, especially beginning of last year, when people already were ready to give him the MVP trophy, already ready to say he's one of the best, if not the best in the league. I'm talking the beginning of last year. I was like, all right, let me pay attention to Luka and see if he's him. It didn't take this game for me to realize he's him. I've since realized he is a him. But it's just crazy what he's able to do. Absolutely insane. Rain saying the 60 and 20 is crazy. Yes, Wilt numbers. And even Wilt, this was the first 60, 20, 10 triple-double in NBA history. The only other 60-point triple-dub, I want to say, was Harden back in his Houston Rockets days. Like, it just, hey, rage. And the Hawks chose Trey over Luka. I'm happy Luka ended up in Dallas. It's something about it. I like it as well, though, because Dallas as a city was already used to like loving an international player. They had Dirk for 20 years. Luka feels like he almost just came in immediately, just fit that role of the European guy who's the number one guy on your team. It just fit perfect in Dallas. It's crazy this guy made history and isn't even top 3 MVP. We're gonna talk about MVP a little bit later in the show. The NBA facts on TikTok just says Luka Doncic or prime MJ. What's good, my man? He hates that narrative for real. Oh, the Trae Young narrative. I mean, I feel you. So this is it's funny because last week I feel like everybody in here know who Low is, Legend of Winning. We all know who Low is. And I feel like we all got to know who Rusty is. If y'all watching me, y'all know Low and y'all know Rusty Buckets, right? So like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, both Low and Rusty, within like a day and a half of each other, both dropped videos basically saying Luka is generational talent. The Mavs aren't doing a good job of putting talent around him, and they're at risk of losing him. And to an extent, I watched both videos and they both made some really, really valid points. And to an extent, I can see where they're coming from. I just also found it hilarious that within basically a week, not only does Luka drop probably one of the best games I've ever seen live in my life, but he also shows up in like full cowboy costume to the Christmas Day game. I mean, he's got the big 10-gallon hat on. He's got a cowboy-looking button-up shirt tucked in with the bell buckle belt type vibe, and he just looks like he fits. He looks like he fits into Dallas's culture, if you will. Yes, Range, the NBA Helvet that Low drop was a dope video, super dope video. Him and Rusty dropped some really, really dope video, really dope concepts, and there was nothing wrong with it. Excuse me, that's not nothing wrong with it. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm hating on either of those videos or disagree with those videos. Anybody I want the Sixers to trade for? Not really, to be honest with you. I really like the roster. We dealt with some injuries in the beginning of the season. I know we're all over the place, but I seen it on TikTok. I seen a comment on TikTok Live. The Sixers have been, and we'll get back to Luka in a second, my point on him. The Sixers have been all over the place in terms of injuries and up and down in the roster. Joel spent some time out. Harden spent some time out. We're just now about to get Maxey back. Hopefully this Friday, fingers crossed. And we're still like 4th in the East, I want to say at the top of my head. So I wouldn't make a trade if I'm the Sixers. That's just me. I like our roster. So back to my real quick point on Luka. Everybody's saying that Dallas needs to hurry up and scramble and find a way to put the best roster possible around Luka, because for long story short, specifically Lowe's NBA Hell video, it was like this cycle. You get a generational talent who makes your team so good that you can't really develop around them fast enough. They struggle with some mediocrity. They do this for a couple of years, then criticism comes, and everyone's like, well, why isn't this generational talent have a ring yet? And then that generational talent decides to leave. Hold on 1 second. Range, are you saying the Wi-Fi is bad? I'm on my end, I'm good in terms of like I got all clean. I got maybe refresh the stream, Range. If you're having issues with the stream, I'd say refresh it, because on my end, everything seems to be, fine and normal. My Tyrese Halliburton is an all-star from Morgan's Sneaker Room. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Also, we're going to talk about a little bit of all-star stuff in a little bit. I don't necessarily have my all-star voting done, but the pool for all-stars, I think, is, and for certain positions, is closer than a lot of people think. I want to look up something real quick, because we saw this in the past 2 weeks, I've seen very similar rhetoric when it comes to Luka Doncic and Trae Young, that one of these guys is going to be the next superstar to demand a trade, to ask for a trade, to want out of their situation, because a lot of people see them as these, especially Luka, these generational talents who aren't necessarily on teams, or people don't necessarily see a way for these teams to quickly put a championship team around them. And I'm split, because on one hand, I get it. On one hand, I do really understand the concept of, hey, I'm him. Y'all need to put a team around me or I'm out. I kind of understand that to an extent. But I more so land on the side of, let's everybody calm down, because Luka's 23 years old and Trae Young is 24. And I make this comparison lightly, but when Bron was 23 and 24, he was just slugging it out, carrying a trash Cavs team to playoff runs. I'm not saying they're going to turn out to be LeBron James or have the career of LeBron James, arguably potentially the best player in the NBA history, depending on who you're talking to. I'm not getting into that right now. But my point is, sometimes winning in the NBA just takes a while. Neither of these guys are technically in their primes yet. I feel like it's understood amongst most NBA fans that players don't really enter their primes to 26, 27, 28. That's when you start to see them in their primes. Both of these guys are still really young and putting up crazy numbers, especially Luka. He's special, man. Luka is special. And I know we're going to see probably a lot of people over the next 2 years saying the Mavs need to make some more moves, and the Mavs, Luka needs to free Luka. I won't be surprised if we start to see that soon. I will, in the Mavericks defense, I will say I like what I've seen out of Christian Wood so far this year. I think that was a good pickup. I do think they missed out on Jalen Brunson. That's a big miss out for them. But it is what it is. Jalen Brunson didn't give them the opportunity. He went straight to New York. So it is what it is. Can't cry over spilled milk there. All right. Hey, Nicholas. Hey, you're Les with a new name. Nicholas, what's good? Thanks for pulling up tonight. Rudy Gay, what's good? Whoa. Don't do that. The hairline? Come on now. Rudy, don't do that. Don't, now come on now. You just pulled up. All right. Oh, no. I know you was on a couple streams, Nicholas. I'm just saying thanks for pulling up, thanks for pulling back up. That's all. Was that the same year, the Marvin Bagley and Luka situation? Was that the same year? Hey, man, it's a lot of teams that miss out on a lot of generational talent. Not a generational talents, but the draft is always fun because I feel like in hindsight, we're always like, well, this team missed out on that person. That team missed out on this person. Imagine if, what was it? The Timberwolves drafted Johnny Flynn over, was Flynn and Steph Curry the same year? Was that the same year? Everybody has I feel like almost every year there's a major, every couple of years, there's a major pick that ends up getting overlooked, and everybody's like, Dags, how did you miss out on that one? It is what it is, though. All right. Let me pull my notes up for today. We gave Luka his love. Oh, all right. We talked about, I'm just looking at my notes. I'm like, I don't remember writing that down, but I feel that. Around the WA podcast on TikTok just says, I'm assuming this was in when I was talking about Trae Young and Luka. He says, I think they're in their prime. They just haven't peaked. I think they both can get better. I don't know exactly what that better is for both of them. I think for Luka, that prime might look like just a physical prime. Maybe he gets stronger, maybe he gets faster, or something like, you know what I mean? Something like that. Like 23 is still kind of young in the NBA. With Trae, maybe it's just his decision making gets better. Maybe he adds a new wrinkle to his game. Like there's always ways for players to improve. And at 23 and 24 years old, I personally, I don't think they're at their primes yet. They're really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but I just think there's that young. There is a spot you can improve at. There just simply is. Luka put up team stats. That's facts. All right. Dags, you know what? It's crazy. Range. Listen. Range asks, more of a W trade, Tatum for Fultz or trade for Luka? You know I'm a Sixers fan. Why you bring up the Tatum for Fultz trade? Not every day, but fairly often I think about, imagine if the Sixers had Trae Young on our team. Had Jason Tatum on our team. Just imagine if the Sixers had Jason Tatum. Take off Tobias Harris and put in Jason Tatum. Like, just think about that for a moment. Just think about that for a moment. Imagine the world. That hurt, Range. That hurt. Shout out to Danny Ainge for the finesse. Even Andre. All right, we'll talk about it. I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about. I wanted to move on to Devin Booker's injury. We'll talk about that in a second. Since Range brought it up, so Embiid dropped almost 60. I want to let me pull this up. So because I watched this game, well, I watched most of the game. Sixers played the Wizards the other night. I was literally just about to make a video. I haven't dropped it yet, but I have a TikTok stored on my phone saying that the Wizards basically should trade Kyle Kuzma, because I don't see the Wizards doing well. The Wizards, if they do sign him, give him the extension that I believe he's going to be looking for, which is maybe not max money, but he trying to get a bag, and I think he's deserving of it. It's going to make him a luxury tax team. Who wants to be a luxury tax team when you're likely fighting for a play-in spot or a low 6 seed? So I was saying trading. Then they turn around to beat my Sixers, and Joel Embiid has, let me pull it up for y'all, 48 that night, 10 boards, 3 blocks, 53% from the field, and we still end up losing. I'll be honest with you, though, I'm really not tripping. I'm not. I'm really, 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 really not tripping over that loss. I like what the Sixers are doing right now. I could be I don't want to seem like a biased fan here, so I'm gonna try to curtail my words here. But Joel Embiid's playing at an MVP caliber level for the 3rd year in a row. We'll see where he ends. Might end up being runner-up again. We'll see. Who knows? But we can't deny that it's MVP level, right? Tobias Harris is playing really, really well. I like what we're getting out of him defensively and offensively, especially not against the Wizards. He was 0 for 4 from 3. But for most of the season, especially when Joel was out, Harden was out, Maxey was out, his three-point shooting has improved a lot this season compared to some of his previous seasons. Maybe not a lot, but he's shooting very, very well. Harden comes back. We were on, I want to say, a 6 or 7 game win streak. And Harden, say what you want about James Harden, I feel like he gets a lot of slack. I won't say a lot. I follow a couple of maybe the bitter is the word I'm looking for. Bitter Brooklyn Nets fans who always got something bad to say about Harden on Twitter every time he, laces up, but it is what it is. I think a lot of people are still expecting Harden to turn into Houston Rockets Harden. I think those days are behind him. I think we can all agree that those days are behind him. But what I will say is James Harden is, to me at least, still one of the best playmakers in the NBA right now. And he's putting that on full display. He's leading the league in assists per game. If you look at the official lists, he's probably not leading that list because he's missed just enough games to be off of the official list. But if you keep this level up, he'll end the season. He'll end the season top 4 at least in assists a game. I want to say he's at 11 assists a game right now. He's playing great playmaking wise, and he's still scoring the ball at his efficiency. I'll say that because I also feel like a lot of people expect James Harden to be like this 40% 3-point shooter, and outside of those couple of years in the Houston Rockets, he's really not that. He's the shooting that he's giving us right now, I'm cool with. It's on par with what he's done for most of his career, scoring like between 20 and 25 a game. I'm cool with that. Give me 10 plus assists and let Joel eat. I'm cool. I'm cool with what James Harden is giving us. But the reason I say I'm still, I'll say bullish on the Sixers is we've been winning without Maxey. We've been winning without Maxey, and we'll see when he's coming back. Doc Rivers just recently said that he hopes he'll return. I want to say this coming Friday. So either this Friday, maybe sometime next week. We'll see how it all plays out. But it's at least looking like by mid-January we'll have Maxey back. Now, Maxey was having an absolutely phenomenal season before he went down to injury. He was, depending on who you talk to, the second best player on the Sixers in front of James Harden. He was coming into his own. He was looking amazing in the fast break. James Harden was dotting him. He was shooting a 3 at an elite level. I'm looking forward to getting those 25 a game back from Maxey. Now, it might take a little bit. We'll see how well he looks when he comes back immediately because, sometimes the players come back from injury. It takes a second for them to get back. Like Desmond Bane and the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But I'm happy with the Sixers. I'll say that. Kuzma to the Heat. Rage. See, I saw this and I like it in theory, but I'm also like, I don't want him on the Heat because to me, if I'm the Heat, I'm looking for and although Kyle Lowry's been playing better, I want to give him his props. I want to make that clear. I'm looking for like a guard or an actual center so Bam can play more of the 4 role, free safety type vibes. We'll see. I don't think Kuzma to the Heat makes a ton of sense considering he's a forward and they already got Bam. They already got Jimmy. I'm not saying Kuzma can't shoot, but it's not like he's an amazing floor spacer. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like the idea of him to the Heat. I understand it. I just personally don't like it. Kenny V on TikTok just asked, what's my favorite team? Sixers. I'm from South Jersey. That's why. Range brings up an interesting point about the Wizards. He wants to build around Kuzma. See, I think that's an issue. I don't think Kuzma is the type of player you build around, but that's just me. He wants to build around Kuzma. Only teams that want Kuzma are contenders / playoff teams. And if we get a first round pick, those will be in the 20s. That is very, very true. I don't know what you will get back for Kuzma in terms of picks or draft assets or players. But I also think that Kuzma is probably your most valuable trade piece, maybe outside of Porzingis. So I guess you could trade him as well. But outside of Porzingis, I think Kuzma is your most valuable trade piece and is the trade piece that makes the most sense to trade considering he's on an expiring deal. I think you're going to be very disappointed if you try to build a team around Kyle Kuzma. And that's no disrespect to Kuzma. He is hooping right now. But you will be disappointed if you make a team around Kyle Kuzma. You'll be very disappointed. And you'll be a play-in team. We don't need a guard. We have too many guards. We need a better bench and a 4. See, what I mean by is, yes, y'all do have a lot of guards, but I mean you need that's why I said, and I don't think it's possible to get it because those guards are hard to come by, and I think that's why you got the Heat or where they're at now. Y'all need a dynamic guard who can make plays, right? But those aren't a dime a dozen. So to me, I would say y'all need a 5, because I like Bam at the 4 personally. I like Bam at the 4. I get y'all like him at the 5. It allows y'all to do more stuff. Versatility wise, switchability. I completely, I understand that. So if your case is of keeping Bam at the 5, add Kuz to the 4, that does make sense. Because in that instance, yeah, y'all do need a 4. I get that, Rage. Like the Suns, Jay Shamit, maybe Craig in the first. Like the Hawks, Justin Holiday, John Collins of the Kings for Kuzma and Will. Kuz on the Suns is smooth. That I would like a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that's a team that he would fit in very, very well with. Kuz to the Hawks also could work really, really well. And I'm mainly saying that because I think both of those teams are teams that already have a really good ball dominant guard who can play make. Between Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they're gonna be able to find Kuzma, get him in the spots, and Trae Young's gonna be able to get him in the spots. Both of those are smooth trade destinations, to me at least. Bam as a 5, we need a real 4. I get that. I do. I get that. All right. So I can take talking about Kuz. I can cross off talking about Kuz off the list. I want to talk about Devin Booker's injury. Right. So Devin Booker, I just had it pulled up. I don't even remember what his actual injury is. He's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So he's out for 4 weeks. The Suns. Let me start with Devin Booker's injury. Let's do this properly. Because I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. Groin injury. Yo, NBA players, man. What y'all be doing? Y'all be hurting y'all groins a little too much for me. So Devin Booker's out for at least 4 weeks. Going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks' time. I saw this tweet and I thought it was interesting. I want to read it to y'all. Let me turn my camera back on. All right. So the Suns have 25 games between now and All-Star break. A 7-week period. Booker won't be reevaluated for another 4 weeks, right? So you'll have to allow at least 2 weeks of reconditioning in a perfect world. So we're looking at like 6 weeks of Devin Booker out. So basically All-Star break. In that time span, 17 of their 25 games are against teams that are over 500. The Suns are about to look disgusting. I'm maybe not disgusting because they did just get a really nice win against the Memphis Grizzlies. Was that just last night? The other night? Hear me out. The Suns are going to miss Devin Booker for sure. They got a tough schedule coming up. Devin Booker was having a really, really good season. I don't want to say struggled, but there's been times where they've looked up and down throughout the season so far. But I made a TikTok about this, I guess 2-3 days ago now, that although Devin Booker is going to be out, like I said, for close to 6 weeks is going to be my estimation. And they play some really, really good teams during that time span. I don't think I'm as worried about them as I feel like I should be. Because the Western Conference has been really, really close. They're probably going to slide in the standings a little bit, but I don't expect them to slide a ton. Because although looking at their schedule, they might lose against a team like the Cavaliers here. But the Knicks and the Raptors, they might be able to pull that win out against. They might lose to the Nuggets, but the Warriors also don't have Steph. They might be able to win that game. If the Warriors still don't have Steph during this time, they might be able to win that game. Timberwolves, they should be able to beat them if the Cat is still out. Grizzlies, Nets, y'all might lose them games, but y'all just split with the Grizzlies recently, so you could win that game. Pacers, you should be able to beat. Hornets, you should be able to beat. Spurs, you should be able to beat. Mavericks, that'll be interesting. But my point here is, although, yes, Devin Booker, I think, really is the focal point of this offense, the Suns, to me at least, have the depth and are built well enough that they can maybe, I'll say, tread some water here, stay afloat here. I'm not expecting them to come out of this break winning over half of these games. Like we just said, they're going against 17 out of 25 games are against teams that are over 500. That's over 50% for those of you who ain't good at math. But call me naive, call me crazy, but I'm not too worried about them. And and it's I guess there's a couple of reasons for me personally. I think this gives DeAndre Ayton an opportunity to show us, like, hey, I'm worth this contract. I think he had a really good game against the Grizzlies the other night. That is the game I'm thinking of, right? Before I lie to y'all here. And y'all be like, Hawk, no, he didn't have a good game. That is the game I'm thinking of. No, that's not the game I'm thinking of. He only had 15 against the Grizzlies. 15 and 10 against the Grizzlies. He had 22 and 16 against the Nuggets where they lost by 3. Maybe that's the game I'm thinking of. But even in that loss by 3, when Devin Booker was out on Christmas Day, they only lost by 3. And Booker got injured 4 minutes into that game. So I'm not saying the Suns are unstoppable. And last year, I spent most of the year saying how much I love the Suns roster, and they get embarrassed to the Mavericks in the playoffs. So maybe I have a soft spot or a blind spot, and maybe this is some bias from me about the Suns for some reason, but I'm not too worried about them. I see some flashes sometimes from DeAndre Ayton. That's like, that's why they paid you. Every now and then I see them flashes. Every now and then, especially in that Nuggets game. That Nuggets game, I know they lost, and I know if you look at the box score, he might not have been efficient as you would like at center. But that Nuggets game might be the best game I've seen of DeAndre Ayton all season. Offensively, at times, he looked really aggressive. Defensively, he wasn't too shabby. I think down the stretch, he ended up getting blocked and then turning the ball over, like down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Aaron Gordon was actually playing some really good defense. He had a decent amount of turnovers that game. But I think part of that came from they were force feeding him, and I think you're going to see some potential high turnover games from DeAndre Ayton in this, potential 25 game stretch when they miss Devin Booker, because they're going to be looking for him to score. They're going to be looking to, be like, hey, we dumping the ball in you in the post. You need to make something happen because we're missing our best player. But we'll see. I could be wrong on the Suns. I could be blowing this completely out of proportion and we look up and they lose all 25 games. I doubt it's going to be that bad. But if they can come out of there like, what would that be? 10 and 15? Is that 25? It'd be like 12 and 13. You know what I mean? Something like that. I'm cool with it. Let's see. Hey, Dylan. I feel like that's a new name. What's good? Range, the best player in the NBA. That's an excellent question, Range. Let's talk about this. So I seen this tweet from StatMuse. Shout out to StatMuse, you know what I mean? For the free content on a regular. And let me see if I can find it. I got two thoughts here. Two thoughts. The best player in the league conversation, if you say one of 5 guys, I'm cool with it. I'm really cool with it because the MVP race is a 5-man race right now. The best player in the league conversation is a 5-man conversation right now. And I can't tell you the last time, as a big fan, was the MVP race this big. This is crazy. And I see some people saying like, who did I see? Someone asked why isn't Ja in this conversation a little bit more, because especially when the Grizzlies were at the number 1 seed. I'm like, this is all of these dudes. If I'm not mistaken, all these dudes is either at 30 or over 30 or just under 30. Luka, Jokic might be the only one that's like just under 30. But what these guys are doing, they either play all NBA level basketball on both ends of the court. I'm looking at Tatum, I'm looking at Embiid, I'm looking at Giannis. Or they're some of the best offensive players we ever seen in NBA history. I'm looking at Jokic, I'm looking at Luka, and I'm looking at KD. And also Giannis, Tatum, and Embiid are also amazing on the offensive side of the ball as well. The one of these five, that's who the best player in the league is. I don't have I mean, my personal best player in the league, I'm gonna say Giannis. That's just me. I think the way he plays on both sides of the ball, the way he dominates a game on both sides of the ball, to me at least makes him the best in the league. But if you said KD was the best of the league, I wouldn't be mad at you. If you said Jokic was still the best of the league, I'm not mad at you. If you said my guy Embiid, I'm a Sixers fan. If you said my guy Embiid is the best player in the league, I'm not mad at you. You feel me? That's a good way to look at this range. I don't necessarily agree with your choices here. Range says Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, top 3 in MVP race, but Giannis, Luka, Jokic, top 3 in general. And I think the NBA is getting to the point, because honestly with you, I think it's been that way the last 2 years, where the person or the people leading the MVP race isn't necessarily who a lot of people will say is the best player in the league. Like, this is just me. This is no disrespect to Jokic. I completely agree that he deserved those MVPs. Oh, excuse me. Well-deserving and very impressive MVP season. But for the last 2 years, I said Giannis was the best player in the league. And I wasn't tripping that Jokic won MVP. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even tripping that Giannis wasn't second, because to me, it was either Jokic or Embiid that should have won an MVP for both of the years last year. But if you asked me who I thought the best player in the league was, I was still going to say Giannis. And I just said Giannis. But I'll be honest, if he doesn't win MVP, I wouldn't be surprised or even with that upset. But I do think he's the best player in the league. Dylan said he came from TikTok. Love the content. Hey, appreciate you, bro. See, this is a good sign. You know what I mean? This is why we started doing the going live on TikTok at the same time, because y'all be coming over. Y'all be coming over from the TikTok to the YouTube live. I mean, Ja ill, all bark, no bite. I feel you on that one, but he's in the conversation because his team is playing phenomenal. They're the third team in the Western Conference. I mean, yeah, they lost 2 in a row, but they were just the number 1 seed less than a week ago. And they're only 2 games back behind first place. They win 2 games. Nuggets maybe lose a game or 2, and it could be a whole different conversation. They're back at the number 1 seed. So I understand, especially Memphis fans or Ja fans in general, saying they want him in the conversation. I'm not ready to put him in the conversation personally. I think just these other 5 guys are playing a little bit better than he is this season. But I'm not mad at I'm not mad at the people who want him in the conversation. It's low key very similar to the Devin Booker situation that we had last year, where Phoenix Suns fans and Devin Booker fans were like, yo, why isn't Booker in the MVP conversation? And I was just kind of like, well, I mean, there's in the conversation, and then there's like in the conversation. And I don't think he was in the conversation. That's just me. I feel that. John not in the combo right now. I feel that. Daniel, what's good, my man? How you feeling today? Can I do a video of my all-star voting? No, we can. I don't know if it's gonna be like a full join. Maybe I do like a TikTok. I don't know. But I'll put out an official ballot eventually. I haven't voted for anybody yet. Even on Twitter, I don't think I've done some voting. I'm low-key falling behind. I need to get on and make sure my guy gets into the starting lineup. I can't have a player who lost to the Warriors without Curry. Who, hey, Wiggins wasn't on that floor neither. You know what I mean? The Warriors, that was a really, really good win for the Warriors. That's all I got to say about that. Who just asked about Daniel just mentioned all-star voting. I just want to bring this up real quick because it's perplexing me, and I'm nervous. It's perplexing me, and I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. One of these guys won't be an all-star starter. There's only 3 forward positions for the starting lineup. And there's 4 deserving front court players. There's 4 deserving front court players, and there's only 3 spots. Giannis is averaging 31, 11, and 5 on 53%. KD is 37 and 5 on 56%. Embiid is 34, 10 and 4 on 52%, and Tatum is 8 and 4 on 47.7%. Listen. When I tell you this is going to be one of the hardest and probably closest All-Star starter votes that I feel like we've ever seen. And you know what worries me the most? If I can be real with y'all, you know what worries me the most? Because fan voting is a thing. I just have this gut wrenching feeling that Joel Embiid might be the odd man out and end up coming off the bench at the All-Star game. Which he was still being an All-Star, of course. Like, he's having an All-Star season, obviously. But I don't want my mans to have to come off their bench. Personally. Call me selfish. Call me, the biased, selfish Sixers fan. But for me personally, I don't want to see Joel Embiid coming off the bench. Carlos asked a good question. Do I think Luka is in the MVP conversation? So I actually have a love-hate relationship with Luka and MVP. So if you asked me like a week and a half ago, I was like, nah. Everybody was having him like top 3, top 5. But I'm like, yo, the Mavs got to start winning games if you're going to put him in this conversation. Well, now the Mavs are 6 in the West and only 4 games back. The Western Conference is truthfully so close that the Mavs are the 6th seed and only 4 games back behind first place. The Jazz are the 9 seed and only 4.5 games back. So all it takes for the Mavs to lose a game and the Jazz to win a game, to lose a game. Say the Mavericks lose a game, and then like the Jazz and the Kings win something. Next thing you know, the Mavericks could be the 8-9 seed. So it's so close in the West that because of the numbers that Luka is putting up, I think it's safe to put him in the conversation. I think it's safe to show him his love, give him his flowers. Now, do I honestly think when it comes down to it at the end, will the Mavericks be a high enough seed to really give him the nod over some of the other players we just talked about? No. But if they can stay somewhere in that 6-4 seed in the Western Conference, I think he'll remain at the conversation throughout the entire year. But I don't think he'll win it, considering, Jokic has the Nuggets as the number 1 seed in the West right now. But then the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Nets are 1 through 3. The Sixers are the 5 seed. But Luka's in the conversation. I just don't know if the Mavericks are going to have the wins or the record to really cement him in the conversation for me. Oh no, it's impossible. It's going to be tough to release. When I do release my All-Star starter voting, it's going to be impossible because Rain, you bring up a good point. If you don't have Tatum, then you'll be called racial slurs. If you don't have Embiid, then all the other Philly fans is going to cook me. That's facts. If KD is left out, the Nets fans are going to go on a rant about KD being disrespected. And if you don't have Giannis, you're just playing wrong. I completely understand. Because, let me see. It's tough. And speaking of, real quick, I just got to get this off my chest. I got a message for Philly fans, for Sixers fans in general. Y'all, specifically Sixers fans on Twitter, y'all make me not want to be a Sixers fan, bro. Y'all gotta stop with this the whole world hates Philly narrative, bro. We gotta stop. We have to. We look sad, bro. We look sad. We talk about it at the top of the stream, top of the show. We give Luka his flowers, right? Talk about the amazing game he just had. That's all everyone's talking about all night, all this morning, all night. The only thing people are talking about or making an effort to make sure they put the content out about is to just show Luka some love. And you know who decides to just type some hater stuff out of nowhere for no reason? And he does it on a regular basis, and it really not pisses me off, but it's like, bro, chill. Drew Hanlon, bro. He tweets at 11:50. The game just basically finished. The 60-point masterpiece just finished. He goes, Luka was incredible tonight and has been all season. So fun to watch. But why does there have to be a but? Why couldn't that just be the whole tweet? Luka was incredible night and has been Luka has been incredible night and has been all season. So fun to watch. Just hit tweet, Drew. Just hit tweet. But then he goes, but to show how biased the media is, here are some facts. Joel is averaging more points, more rebounds, more blocks, higher field goal percentage, higher free throw percentage. This team has a better record than Luka. Mind you, we're 20-13. They're 19-16. It ain't that much of a difference. We got one more win. They got a couple more L's, but they also played two more games than us so far this season. And then I seen some other Sixers fans who I follow. I ain't gonna put them on blast, saying basically the same stuff. And I get it. Drew Hanlon is Joel Embiid's trainer, so he's got like, yo, I gotta rock for my guy. But like, these could have been two separate tweets. You could have said Luka's playing incredible, hit tweet. Then you could have another tweet said Joel Embiid is also playing incredible. Just here is his numbers. Sixers fans have this desire to, I don't want to say compare everything to Joel or make it seem like that we are hated by the rest of the league, or make it seem like the rest of the league or media or whatever doesn't acknowledge the great play that Joel does on a night-to-night basis. I promise you they do. I consume a lot of NBA content. Joel's name is brought up fairly often. We really got to chill out. It makes us look so sad, and it makes us look like haters. All right, moving on. Talked about Devin Booker being out. Luka gave him his love. We talked about the Suns missing Devin Booker missing some time. Let me do some quick love on Memphis real quick, and then I'm just gonna look at the standings and try to rattle off a couple of things before we get up out of here. So the Memphis Grizzlies, I dropped a video about them literally like a week ago. They were playing amazing. They were, I want to say, a 7-game win streak, something like that. 7-8-game win streak. They were like 8-2 in their last 10. They were number 1 in the Western Conference. They were rolling. Ja just had that interview with not Joy Taylor, but why is that? Her name is like just gone right now. Ja has an interview with. Nope, I thought I was gonna be able to say the whole sentence and get it back. Ja goes in an interview with a woman reporter from a outlet. I can't remember. I feel like so much has happened since then. Basically, she was like, "Yo, do you look around the league and you see anybody that you fear? Not fear, but are you worried about anybody looking in the league?" Malika, thank you. I'm like, yo, what is this woman's name? He has an interview with Malika. She asked, when you're looking around the league, the Grizzlies are rolling. Is there anybody you're worried about or have an eye on? He says, well, of course, the Boston Celtics out east. She says, anybody in the West? He says, nah, I'm good out West. I got it. Like, basically, we straight. Then y'all lost to the Nuggets. No, excuse me. Then y'all lost to the Warriors, and then you lost to the Suns. And a lot of people was getting on the Grizzlies because of it. Ja looked good in both of those games. I will admit, Ja still looked like himself. He forgot to mention the Warriors without Curry. Exactly. But the biggest takeaway, at least for me, especially in that Warriors game, I can't recall off the top of my head if it was as big of a deal in the Suns game. But I noticed it in the Warriors game because I just got done praising this guy. Jaren Jackson Jr. ends up in foul trouble in the Warriors game. Doesn't look as good as he's been looking all season. And it was just a moment where it's like, yeah, he's come a long way in terms of getting in foul trouble. He's an incredible defender. He's an amazing rim protector and shot blocker. But we all know his first couple of seasons in the league that he struggled with staying on the floor because of just foul trouble. But this season, it was like, yo, he hadn't really fouled out that many games. I don't even know if he fouled out yet, if I'm keeping it a bean. I'm sure he probably had one or two, but he had been playing amazing. He was averaging the least amount of fouls he's ever had in his career. He's been staying on the court. Offensively, he looked better. Defensively, as soon as he got back, you've seen the impact that it had on the Grizzlies defense. Like, he, to me, has the potential to be Defensive Player of the Year this year. Like, that's how good defense he's playing. And then he fouls out. Then he's in foul trouble against the Nuggets. No, against the Warriors. I'm all over the place. And all it was for me, I'm not taking it away from him, or I'm not taking it, trying to take anything away from Jaren. But it was just a little reminder that fouling might just be something he struggles with for a while. It just might be something he struggles with. Ninja, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up. Hey, everyone, haven't caught up on Christmas video on NBA since I've really been focused on NFL. So lots of catching up to do. Besides the Sixers, I know they suck. We don't suck. We're just... Sometimes we get in a rut. Sometimes the Sixers, we just get in a rut. I don't know how else to say it besides that. Any other news around the league we wanted to talk about real quick just before we get up out of here? Shout out to the Knicks. I ain't go live last week, but I wanted to give them a moment to shout them out. They were on a 7-game streak. And then they're currently lost 4 in a row, but they was hooping. They was balling. The defense was looking a little bit better. Julius Randle, especially RJ Barrett, was looking confident in just their offensive abilities. They're on a 4-game skid. We'll see where that goes from there. But I just wanted to give them their flowers real quick because they was hooping. They were hooping. Also, shout out to the Brooklyn Nets on a 9-game win streak. They're 9-1 in the last 10. The Brooklyn Nets are finally... 2 things about the Nets. One, and I said this before, the extracurricular activities that was distracted them off the court seem to have died down, and they're just back to being healthy. You know what I'm saying? They're just back to being healthy. And a healthy Brooklyn Nets is a dangerous Brooklyn Nets. KD and Kyrie are playing absolutely out of their minds right now. Ben Simmons looks good from time to time. I see the defense being impactful once again. And I also feel like could be just because I'm not tapped into Brooklyn Nets media as much as I'm tapped into Sixers media as when Ben was a Sixer. But I feel like after they got past the first 2.5 weeks of Ben, this season, maybe 3 weeks of Ben actually playing this season, people ain't really talking about him no more. I can't tell. When I open up Twitter, when I open up TikTok, when I open up IG, when I, just socials in general, when the Nets play, Ben can have a great game, Ben can have a bad game. If I don't go out of my way to look for it, I have no idea, for real. If I wasn't watching the game, and I think that's good for him. Truthfully, and I really do mean that. I think that's good for him to just be out of the spotlight for a little bit. Let KD and Kyrie cook. You just play defense, you play make. The rest of the team is hitting shots when they pass them the ball for the open man. The Nets are finally looking like the Nets we thought they could be. I'll say that. The Nets are finally looking like the Nets I thought they could be. Unlimited says, let's check the stream, check Discord for trade ideas. I seen y'all in here talking about trades earlier. I didn't pop my head in, but I did see y'all in here chatting about some trades. Let me see what y'all in here was saying. All right, bet. Trade ideas, dismissed. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise. Oh, you went off. Okay, Rage. All right, Range. Let's just see. We'll talk about a couple of things as we go. Might be one of the last things we do before we get up out of here. But let's just see these trades. So we got the Hawks would get Kyle Kuzma and Will Barton for Justin Holiday, John Collins, and a pick. I like this actually a lot. I think we said before, I think the Hawks could be a good location for Kuzma to go and end up. John Collins to the Wizards, I don't love, I'll be honest, only because they already have Porzingis. Collins and Porzingis on the same team together. I don't know how much I like the idea of that. Like, it just... personally, I just don't know how much I like the idea of that. But I do like Kyle Kuzma to the Hawks. Jay Crowder to the Hawks. Jay Crowder and Landry Shamet for John Collins. That's actually not terrible. Low key, that's not terrible. It's funny because I was in a first round pick though. Wait, the Hawks. This is a great point. I'm happily. I dropped like 50. Don't check it all. Yeah, I know. I don't think we're looking at all these because you did drop 50. But it is one thing I wanted to talk about. I'm happy you did put this in here because I wanted to talk about Drake Crowder situation. So Drake Crowder, uh, I don't know if he demanded a trade. I can't remember exactly when he demanded a trade, but sometime in the offseason, he's like, yo, I want to be traded. I want out. I don't want to be a Phoenix Sun. The Phoenix Suns are like, okay, we'll try to find a trade partner for you. And then he's like, in the meantime, I'm just sitting out. I'm not playing. So now we're almost into the new year. We're at least a third of the season done. And we still haven't seen, excuse me, at least a third of the season done. We still haven't seen Drake Crowder play. And Ninja, oh snap, Dills, I just seen what you put on TikTok, said you're live. Wait a minute, and you pulled up. That's hilarious. But we still haven't seen Drake Crowder play so far this season. No team seems to be chomping at the bit to trade for him. And I saw a report the other day that people are like, well, what's Drake Crowder's trade value anymore? Because at this point, I'm not giving a whole lot for him. You're not. Yeah, Cam Johnson. Well, Cam Johnson's out right now too. Yeah, but Drake Crowder, I'm like, you're not nice like this to be sitting out almost a whole season at this rate because you don't want to be here. So for me, it really does bring up an interesting question, and that's why I'm happy the way you did this trade. And put it back on the screen for those who don't know. Did this trade of, I think it's a real reality that the Suns might have to include a first rounder in a Drake Crowder trade, and that's not crazy to me, but it sucks considering with Cam Payne being out, Cam Johnson being out, and Devin Booker being out. I'm like, yo, Drake Crowder, put on a jersey, bro. Go hoop for the Suns because they could use you. They could use some defense and an occasional three every now and then. Every now and then. The Mavericks, Mike Conley for Bertans, Josh Green, and a pick. Conley low key, I was talking smack about him early, in the offseason. I thought he would be traded by now, but he's actually been not hooping, but playing better than I expected. I'll say that. I don't know how much of an improvement Mike Conley is at the point guard position, though. I mean, I guess he could be a backup, but what he brings, I don't know if it will fit alongside Luka as well as like Jalen Brunson did. Obviously, they ain't gonna fit as well as Jalen Brunson did, obviously. But I don't know if Conley's the piece that they're looking for or missing. This one's tough. Mavericks get Zach LaVine and Caruso for Bertans, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dwight Powell, Josh Green. That's not even that big. I thought clicking that was gonna make that bigger. It didn't really make that no bigger. I want to talk about this one because I want to talk about the idea of, starting in a Brunson role. I don't like the idea of Conley starting in the Brunson role only because, to me at least, Brunson brought the ability to get his own bucket. And to be a dynamic scorer from time to time. I don't see that at this stage in Conley's career. I just don't see that from him at this stage, at least. He can do it in times and stuff. But for what the Mavs are trying to do and what the Mavs want to do, I don't like the idea of Conley starting. That's just me, though. But I did want to talk about the idea of, should the Bulls trade Zach LaVine? Should the Bulls trade DeMar? Should the Bulls blow it up, man? I feel bad for the Bulls. They did everything right. They did everything right. They really did. They tried to rush the rebuild a little bit. But they knew Zach LaVine was a little like, all right, what y'all doing? We losing and I'm kind of nice. I'm going back a couple years with me. Go back a couple years with me here, right before the Vooch trade. But he's like, my contract's slowly coming to an end. I'm due for an extension in a couple of years. Am I staying? Am I leaving? Like, what's going on? The Bulls say, oh, no, hold on. We're going to get you an all-star center. Vucevic, remember, he was an all-star at that time of the trade. And, they, trade for an all-star, I'm going to say in quotes, center. They finish out that season. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see what they do. And then they make a splash. Lonzo pulls up. DeMar pulls up. Caruso pulls up. They make a splash. And everyone was like, yo, the Bulls look really, really Nice. And for that first like 2-month period before it all went to crap, the Bulls looked great. Lonzo had them running up and down the court looking beautiful. DeMar and Levine was just mid-range assassins. The Levine was shooting like 40% clip from three. The Bulls looked great. Defense was amazing. Caruso and Lonzo were just locking up backcourts left and right. And then now the Bulls are the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're 14 and 19. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Like, things change so fast in the NBA. And if I'm being real with myself, the Bulls, it's not like the Bulls were, I don't think the Bulls were ever like title contention for real. Because if we were going to be real with ourselves, we take the rose tinted glasses off and stuff like that. And we look at the time when they were the 1 seed, they hadn't really played nobody for real. They hadn't really played nobody that was tough comp, if you will. But they were beating the teams that you were supposed to. They were losing against the elites. You feel me? I remember that stat that was going around against like teams. They were like 1-11 or 0-11 that year against teams over 500, but they were like the 3 seed because they were just beating up on the bad teams. But now it's like people are having a conversation of, well, do you trade Lamar? Do you trade Zach? Like, do you just hit the reset? Because there is, I'm calling it now. In my opinion, we're not seeing Lonzo this year. The latest reports the last like report we got on him was bro's still struggling to move. He's not doing any basketball activity for real. There's no real timeline. There's no timetable. The doctors don't know. The coaches don't know. Lonzo doesn't know. No one knows what's going on with this man's knee. And it is very unfortunate because I've said this before. Lonzo is one of the hardest working dudes in the league right now. This man completely revamped his jump shot. Went from a shot that you was just like, I'm going to turn my back on it and let you just shoot them all day. That started over here to one of the best, pull up and catch and shoot guys in the league. At one point last year, he worked so hard to become a really, really, really good starting point guard in the league that had all-star potential in the coming years. And now it's like, when will we see him again? Who knows? It sucks, man. It sucks. And no, it's not just Lonzo. I agree. DeMar is getting older. That's how like do you trade him. Zach is off. Yes. Zach is not just Lonzo. It's Levine. Bulls fans act like Lonzo is the difference between the lottery and a chip. Bulls fans do be acting like Lonzo is the only missing piece. And like we just said, even with Lonzo, it's not like y'all was winning against the really, really good teams. But I will say Levine coming off of I don't remember what his injury was. It was like a lower body. I want to say it was his knee too, but he's looked a little different this year. He hasn't looked as good as he did last year for the entirety of this season so far. So I agree. There are some Bulls fans that think Lonzo, if Lonzo came back, you know what I mean? They're right in the mix. I don't think it's that simple for the Bulls, but I also think they are missing Lonzo. I really do think they're missing Lonzo. Somebody on TikTok said Suns have a few issues. A Monty issue, a CP3 issue, their bench, and shot-making ability. Shot-making, to me, that comes from Devin Booker. Cam Payne was doing it actually. Cam Payne or Cam Johnson? I always get those two mixed up. Cam Payne, I want to say is the one I'm thinking of. Was doing a solid job of making some shots earlier in the season. I think the Suns are nice. I just think they're not perfect, but I think they're nice. That's just me, though. Any last thing before we get up out of here? I got off my Bulls soapbox. I think we're good. First live in a month. I'm not going to push it. I'm going to take my hour. I'm going to take my solid hour of content. I think we had a good hour. I will see y'all next week. I'm going to chop this up and see if I can get at least 2 TikToks out of it. And I'm out of here, man. Thanks for pulling up. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. And I will see y'all next week at 8. I'm out. Peace.